Hello, and welcome to this very special year-end episode of the MovieMouth podcast, where we say goodbye to this up and down year for both movies and TV by talking about the best and the worst moments of the year. Favorite movie of the year, favorite performances, best moments on TV, director of the year, and predictions for the upcoming Oscars. We'll discuss all of this while looking ahead to 2022 and the movies and TV we're looking forward to the most. This is Miles, and my New Year's resolution is to be nicer to my fellow co-host. Speaking of which, I'm joined by my MovieMouth co-host and producer, a man who's watched his fair share of movies and TV this year, all the while actually running his own companies, plying multiple new trades, redecorating his house, growing a really sexy man bun, and being an all-round incredible human being, friend, husband, son, and brother. It's that sack of shit, Phil. Hi, Phil. Welcome back. Welcome to the show.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Thanks,
Well,
Miles.
Technically, at the time of recording, it's still 2021, so I haven't actually defaulted on my New Year's resolution, but we'll see if it holds.
Yeah. Well, I'll take that. I'll take it. I've got that recorded now, so you can never take it back.
Don't think I'll ever want to. So how would you sum up 2021, either in movies, TV, or just generally, Phil?
Well, that's difficult, isn't it?
Hmm.
Well, lots happened this year, isn't it? I went off a furlough and then I went back to a new job, so that was crazy. But then, that's boring, and no one wants to hear about that. We're a film podcast.
So basically, you were doing nothing for most of the year, for half the year, and then for the rest of it, you were working like crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and then watching lots of films.
join the club, just the other way around.
You bastard!
But you have been busy, and it's been a hell of a year for the MovieMouth podcast as well, wouldn't you say?
Hasn't it? We're up to, what's this now? This is our
technically it's our 38th or 39th episode, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is. It's a lot. That's a lot.
Three specials. Well, this would be our fourth special of the year. Actually.
I was trying to count up the other day the minutes that people could listen to us for, and it's an obscene amount of minutes of us chatting bullshit, isn't it?
I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
And then we've got 15 plus years of friendship of those minutes as well. Just absolute unadulterated
recorded
bullshit. But yeah, in this case, recorded for your listening pleasure.
Yeah.
Lucky people. That's all I can say.
Lucky buggers.
But thank you to our subscribers, I think we should probably say.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks everyone that listens, wherever you may be. And we can see there's a lot of you from all around the world. It's really interesting to see where people listen from. Yes, thanks very much for listening. I hope you carry on into the new year and beyond.
Yeah. Keep it coming. Please do keep subscribing and talking about us and sharing stories on Instagram and messaging us. We've got some really exciting things coming up as well in 2022. We're actually just launching our brand new website, which Phil has been hard at work on. And we've got some fun stuff like merchandise as well that we're going to be releasing as well in the store. So if you'd like to pick up T-shirts and mugs and fun things that show your allegiance to the MovieMouth podcast, we'll be releasing those. We'll be sharing them on our social media channels in due course. But yes, thank you all very much for listening. Okay, well, we're not alone, Phil, are we?
We're not. I can see someone watching me.
There's someone watching me too. Just when you thought two movie mouthers were better than one, a third appears in the form of an accomplished film journo, a man who is literally qualified and experienced at reviewing movies, a man who has taken a huge step towards actual filmmaking this year in a proud to know him kind of moment, a man who has been projectionist at Aldborough Cinema in the UK, projecting some of this year's best films for audiences, a man who travelled with his cousin to Scotland on a road trip to visit the locations of some of his favourite films. It's that lovely, decent, cuddly man with a constant twinkle in his Paul Hollywood blue eyes. Welcome back to the MovieMouth podcast, Sean Chrysanthou.
That's Sean.
What is it? What? Who are you? What have you done with
Paul Hollywood
Miles?
I can be rude to Phil, but I'm not going to be rude to our. I'm not going to be rude to our guest host. Otherwise, you'll never come back on.
I don't trust him, Sean. Do you? I don't like it. He's doing
There's something. I'm waiting for.
He's being nice to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hello.
How's it going, Sean? How would you sum up your 2021?
Ooh, my 2021. Bit of a mixed bag, really, wasn't it? I think it's probably a fair way to put it. I mean, mine's been okay. Well, not that you can really take COVID out of the equation, can you? But yeah, a few changes, as you sort of alluded to. I actually went back to school about 30 years late and started a screenwriting degree, which has kind of been a bit of a shock to the grey matter to spin that back up to speed, but it's going okay, doing all right. Kind of back to front, going from critic to writing the things, which is a bit of a poacher turned gamekeeper approach, I guess. But no, it's good. It's all good.
You're going to be one of those dangerous critics that actually can say, when you critique something, that you could do a better job.
He can just critique himself while he's doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Just
permanently.
Find myself
it's like
in
a loop.
Yeah.
Dream of a dream of a dream.
Good. No, overall, yeah. As years go, yeah, probably one of the better ones on balance.
Nicely put. And welcome back to the show. Thanks again for coming back on and joining us.
Always a pleasure.
So I think what we wanted to do is jump into, I think, a little, let's just say, a palate cleanse, something to set the scene, to talk a little bit back through the year, to get your memories going back as far as possible throughout this year. So I thought we'd get us started off with a little ice-breaking quiz of 2021.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Christ.
How would you say is your general knowledge of films and TV of this year, gents?
Well, considering I'm the co-host of a film podcast, it's pretty bloody awful, to be funny. If I'm fully honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this should be fun.
Okay, can't go wrong.
I mean, people.
Well,
I've got a bit live on air that I basically make up everything on the spot. So, let's see. I'm going to make up some answers to these questions as well.
That's typically how you answer things in general, but okay. I mean, bear in mind that I've written these questions, so Satan is in the building. But yeah, I will be asking you both a series of questions, and should you not, by the end of it, have a clear winner, then there will be a tiebreaker question.
Okay.
So Phil, since you're so keen to get going on this,
I thought
I'd start with you.
Let's do it.
Okay, Phil.
Yes.
Lock in. Netflix released the Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot big budget movie Red Notice this year. Its most expensive movie to date. But can you tell me how much it cost in US dollars? And I'm going to give you multiple choice.
Oh, okay.
Was it A, $150 million? Was it B, $175 million? Or was it C, $200 million?
I had 200 million in my head when you asked the initial question. So I'm going to go with C, 200 million.
It was C. Congrats, Phil. Well done.
Oh my God, I got the question right. Wow. Well, yeah, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to leave now.
Okay, right. Sean, pressure's on. This is like penalties in the Euro final. Let's not talk about that either. Director Paul Thomas Anderson released his 9th full-length feature film this year. Can you tell me what is its title? And I will give you a bonus point if you can tell me the name of the male actor playing the lead role.
Licorice Pizza. And it's
correct.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, isn't it?
Don't look at me for guidance, because you saw what I did with Phil. I was giving him the thumbs down when he said 200 million.
Let me doubt myself.
No, it's not there.
You almost got it. You're right. It is Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. It's Cooper Hoffman. But I just thought with your film knowledge, sir, that you might have maxed that one out.
All right, known something. Yeah,
1-1.
Fair point. No. If you could just rub it in at any opportunity as well, Miles, I'd appreciate it.
I will continue to do that throughout the duration of this podcast.
Excellent.
Phil.
Yes.
Which Nicolas Cage movie scored a 97% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes this year?
Oh, that's got to be Pig. Pig?
Shame
Is it
on
just
them.
called Pig?
The pigs! The pigs! You're right. It was
Oh my god!
Yay.
I actually heard it was quite decent. And I need to watch it. I've not watched it.
Bonus point if you can name the director.
Oh, no, I
Name
can't.
the
I'm not
pig.
going to be able to name the director of that.
Okay,
Name
it was
the pig.
Michael
Jeffrey.
Sarnowski.
Okay.
Name the pig. All right. 2-1. Sean, pressure building again.
Ugh.
Director, and I realize I may have shot myself in the foot with this. Director Edgar Wright launched the recommended by MovieMouth podcast thriller Last Night in Soho in 2021, starring Anya Taylor-Joy. What was his other film released in 2021?
The Sparks Brothers documentary.
Correct. Sparks Brothers
Oh, well
documentary on Netflix. Good job.
I completely forgot what that was. Yeah, well done.
I just realized as I started reading out that question that Sean actually met Edgar Wright this year and probably listened to him in conversation. Okay. All right. We're getting down to the last question here, unless we have to go to a tiebreaker. So this is, scary times for you, Phil. No pressure. You talked about, Phil, how Die Hard is your favorite Christmas movie on our holiday special episode.
Oh, God. Yeah.
But can you tell me how many movies did Bruce Willis appear in 2021?
Oh, God.
I'm going to give you 3 choices, okay? And I don't want to see you on IMDb. I don't want to see your face illuminated with IMDb.
Yellow.
Okay.
Like yellow.
Yellow. With IMDb written backwards across your forehead.
Shame.
Okay, so how many films was Bruce Willis in 2021? Was it? We're starting high. 7,
Right.
8, or 9? 7, 8, or 9?
I'm going to go with 8. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to break down these films for you as we go through.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that this year he starred in 9 movies.
Oh my God.
And you tell me if you've heard of any of them. The first one is Cosmic Sin, where he played James Ford. There was Midnight in the Switchgrass, where he played Carl with a K, which is a little hark back to Die Hard.
Yeah.
Out of Death, he played Jack Harris. Survive the Game, he played David. Apex, he played Thomas Malone. Hair of the Dog, he played Burger. I don't know if he was an actual burger. He just
Burger 1.
Come out to the cars, get together, put some onions on me. Deadlock, he played Ron Whitlock.
Wow.
Deadlock, send in Whitlock. Fortress, I'm still not done. He played Robert. And that well-known classic American Siege, he played Ben Watts.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I should. I watched the trailers for more of those than I care to admit, and I was disappointed every time.
But every trailer that you watched sounded exactly the same as the other one.
Yes. It was like this film was clearly made with Bruce Willis's involvement for about a day or 2 at most.
I'm just going through all of these.
I even
now.
watched one of them.
That's hysterical.
I even watched one
You
of
watched
that lot,
one?
and I can't
Oh my
even remember
God.
which one it was.
I'm actually going through this list right now just to see in terms of ratings what we got. So I can tell you, well, there's two things that have come out of this quick review that I've done here, folks, and this is live podcasting for you. I can tell you firstly that none of these movies got higher than a 5 out of 10 on IMDb, but also that my calculations were wrong because even though it's stated as being released in 2021, that up-and-coming classic Hair of the Dog, in fact, is marked down as coming soon. So that would say, Phil, that 9 was in fact an 8, taking you back to a 3-2 lead.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wait, can I use Can I use one of our fancy sound clips just to cheer me on a bit?
Yeah, please.
It's the Phil podcast. Okay, and welcome back. So, right, less about you, Phil. Let's move on to Sean, because we do have another co-host.
Yeah, I mean, I've not won yet, have I?
No, you haven't. I mean, you're playing the applause just to wind
Nearly.
Sean up. Bless him.
Yep.
He's sweating. Look, he's sweating bullet. I know you can't see this podcast, listeners, but Sean is visibly sweating and ruffled, I would say.
Yeah.
Sean, to tie it up, Awkwafina starred in Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings this year for Marvel, and Gemma Chan starred in Marvel's Eternals, but they both appeared in a Disney animation this year. Can you name it?
No.
Phil, have you got any sound effects that you want to put in?
I don't.
And the answer is
No.
He can't get it. He's got it. He hasn't got
He's got nothing. No.
He's got nothing. You got nothing in the tank. Just have one guess. A guess. Disney animation. Awkwafina.
I can't remember
Gemma
what
Chan.
animations they came
This
out
year.
with this year. I got nothing. I got no
in the
knowledge. No, sorry.
Phil, fire it over to you. Do you want to have a stab? Just to rub it in.
No, I've not been. I'm not up to date with the animations for this year, I'm afraid. I've not really watched any.
Okay.
So I can't answer that one.
It was Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh.
Which actually, I have to say, was very good.
Okay.
Very good. If you get a chance to watch it, really good. And a great soundtrack from James Newton Howard. Really, really good. So that leaves us with a 3-2 victory, bizarrely, insanely, unscriptedly, to Phil.
Woo!
Congrats, Phil.
A worthy winner.
Well, I'm going to do the cheering thing again. Yes.
A worthy winner.
Well done, Phil.
Worthy winner.
A worthy winner.
Thanks, everyone.
It really is quite cheesy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's terrible. I'm going to stop it.
I love the way it just cuts as well. It's like they just stop immediately. Like they've been murdered in their seats. I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what I will do, just to reclaim some faith in Sean. I will ask you the tiebreaker question. You can never go answering it, but if you get this, thinking about as being a sometime listener of the MovieMouth podcast, you may know the answer to this one. But what do Guillermo del Toro, Willem Dafoe, and Gal Gadot all have in common?
You call them all William?
It's close. It's close. You're very close. I'll give you another stab at it. Go on.
You pronounce their names wrong.
Who calls them? Yeah. Phil continuously got their names wrong throughout the year. We had Guillermo del Toro, we had William Dafoe, and we had Gal Gadot. And I just want to say William Dafoe. Guillermo del Toro and William Dafoe. Yeah, they're in a good movie. Gal Gadot turns up. All right, okay. I think faith is restored in you, Sean. And the fact that
brought it back.
That Phil beat you in that quiz. I mean, really, you should have a long, hard look at yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's jump into the serious stuff. Let's get into the best of last year. Sean, would you like to get us started off with your top 5 TV shows from 5 down to 1?
Okay. Yeah. So I kind of, given the couple of years that we've generally had, I wanted to go in with Feel Good in my number 5. Feel Good, guilty pleasure show, and I think I really should say Only Murders in the Building. because it is a lot of fun. But I'm going to hope someone else goes there. And instead, I'm going to make a rare case for the Magnum PI reboot. We've had 3 full seasons. Season 4 is underway. And it's just good, old-fashioned, some would say too old-fashioned, escapist fun. But the cast have got good chemistry. It's an hour of beautiful people in beautiful places doing silly things. Nothing more, nothing less. Please don't hit me.
Nothing to hit here. It's got, isn't it the guy from Hostel in that? Jay Hernandez.
Yeah, Jay Hernandez, yeah.
Is he who?
He's good.
So who's he
I
playing
like
in that? I haven't actually seen it.
He plays Magnum. It's a reboot.
Does he?
He plays Thomas Magnum, the old Tom Selleck role.
And does he have a glorious mustache?
Higgins is now a blonde English lady, of course. So to provide a bit of will, they won't they? But it is what it is. Escapist nonsense, but doesn't get a lot of love. So I thought I'd throw it out.
Fair enough. Love that. That was your number 3.
I got that in at 5. You said, so I'll go in at 5.
Oh, sorry. I thought you would. I thought you started. Yeah. Go. Yeah.
I'll go into 4. For 4, I've got Kevin Can Work Himself. Don't know if you guys have done that one. WandaVision was great, wonderfully creative twist on the traditional sitcom, but for me, Kevin takes it dark. I loved Annie Murphy in it. Production value is through the roof. Doesn't always necessarily deliver on its potential, but it has a lot to say, and for the most part, I think says it well.
A good choice. Where are you watching that in the UK? I know it's on AMC over here, but
I think that was on Sky. I watched it through Now TV. I think it's through Sky. Yeah. Good. A few good guys have given it a chance, but liked it. 3, I've got Mayor of Easttown. We all know Winslet's good, but I thought this was a proper warts and all leading actress performance. Throwing a good story. All right, a bit cliche at times. She even has to literally hand in her gun at one point. But it's good supporting cast. It was a winner for me. It was good stuff.
I heard good things about it. I haven't actually seen it, but it's on HBO here right now. I think for me, there's so many, as you said, cop shows, murder shows, small town shows over the last few years, particularly on HBO, and I just think it was kind of difficult to get around to it. But I did hear it was very, very well critically acclaimed, and audiences seem to love it as well.
Yeah, I would
that's
say
on
that's
HBO here,
it.
and I'm guessing Sky over there, is it?
That's Sky over here, yeah. In second, I've got The White Lotus. Thought it was stunning to look at, gloriously unsettling and weird, and I found it really, really funny. And kudos to Murray Bartlett. I think created the funniest hotel manager since Basil Fawlty, I think.
Brilliant. And the best mustache since Basil Fawlty as well.
Indeed. Yeah. I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
Number 1, I've got Midnight Mass. Number 1, I've got Midnight Mass. Too long, too wordy, but beautifully produced, genuinely creepy, and that rarest of rare. I'd say it brings something new to a genre that I'm not going to name because it's probably getting a bit spoilery for people who haven't seen it. But really enjoyed that.
For sure. And a lot of people saying that's Mike Flanagan's best work after The Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor, and obviously some of his other movies and stuff. But I think he just creates amazing content. I actually haven't seen Midnight Mass either, and it's another one that I've been meaning to get around to. It's just trying to find the time to have the living piss scared out of you, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed Dr. Sleep. I thought that was terrific. His previous work. In fact, I thought that actually enhanced The Shining, which I've always had issues with Kubrick's Shining for a long time, and I thought that actually made The Shining a better movie. Midnight Mass. If you haven't done it, like I say, it's too long, too much talking, but overall, that's top notch.
Great. Sounds like an amazing top 5 list. Phil, can you do any better? What were your top 5, starting with number 5?
I definitely can't do any better. Mine is, just I guess sort of in an order, but I'll breeze through mine because all of mine are quite nothing really groundbreaking, but things that I've just enjoyed throughout the year. Enjoyed watching.
This is what this is about, isn't it? It's what did you enjoy? It's not about what did the critics like and did you agree with them? It's what did you like this year?
So mine was in at number 5 was part 3, or I guess season 3 of Disenchantment, the animation on Netflix.
Matt Groening.
Matt Groening, yeah. Really enjoyed the first 2 like parts, as they call them, because they're pretty short each one. But I hadn't really seen anything about part 3 coming up, and it sort of suddenly sprung up. So I was quite glad to see it. So that was good. I really enjoyed that. It's really funny, and it's well done. I don't think it's the kind of thing they should carry on for very long. But I think I kind of trying to remember what happened to the end of it now. It was quite
kind of like a fantasy take on Futurama, isn't it? It's like
basically, yeah. It's like it's like Futurama if it was in the medieval times, but it's really good, really entertaining. Number 4, I put Snowpiercer season 2. Again, it's nothing amazing, but I just really enjoyed the first series of it. It's quite a different sort of story. I like those. I always like a sort of dystopian disaster type setting for films and TV programs. So I was quite enjoying that. And season 2 was pretty good. It was, it kept me entertained, kept me intrigued to see where they go with it. Again, it's the kind of thing where I don't think they should really push it on for too long. But I'm enjoying watching it at the moment. Yeah. So that was good. Season 2 of that.
I really enjoyed the film of that. Would you recommend it even for someone who's?
I've not watched the film yet, so I still need to watch the film. Yeah, I still need to watch it. So that's on my to-do list. So yeah, I didn't know anything about it when it came out. I knew it was based on like the film, which I can't remember if this is based on a graphic novel or not.
It is. Yeah,
it is.
It's based on it. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I need to watch the film to compare, but I sort of didn't want to watch the film. I don't know how closely the series follows the film.
Well,
so
I've seen the film, and I've seen some of season 1, and it's pretty close, but clearly more expansive in the scope in the show. Right, it's obviously it moves a lot slower.
Yeah.
The movie I enjoyed, but I just found it a little too all over the place. I think this gives you a bit more time to settle in with the communities that live on the train,
right?
Which is kind of what it's all about. Which it gives it, it fleshes it out a bit more, But yeah, a really interesting film. It was Chris Evans, wasn't it? Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah, right.
Directed it.
Number 3, I put Sweet Tooth in there, season 1. Again, dystopian future. Again, I really enjoyed it for a first series. I thought it was good performances all round in it. It looked really nice, a bit, I guess, CGI heavy in places, but it did look really good. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that was on Netflix. Number 2, what did I put for that? Season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows, because you turned me on to What We Do in the Shadows, Miles, because I watched the film and then I didn't realize that they had like a series of it featuring some of my favorite like British comic actors.
Oh yes.
So we absolutely drilled through the first 2 series of it, and then recently, I think it was a couple of months ago, they released the 3rd series, which came out on BBC iPlayer over here.
Jackie Daytona,
and yeah,
human bartender.
Yeah, brilliant. Just really good fun. Just nice short episodes. Just kind of thing you just stick on while you're eating dinner or whatever, and just enjoy it. But some real good comedy moments in that. And then number 1, again, I'm going to sort of jump on the bandwagon a bit with this, but I really did enjoy Squid Game. It was unexpected. I think like I don't know, it became, I didn't jump on it when everyone else was jumping on it. It's just, I just saw it come up on Netflix, and I sort of like just putting on random stuff. So I thought that looks interesting, so I put that on. And then it was then I again, like I was really like sucked in by it and went through all of it. And then, yeah, I mean, I'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but yeah, I really enjoyed Squid Game. But then, yeah, everyone else jumped on it, and it's become a thing, hasn't it?
That's all right, Phil. We know you're a hipster. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine.
No problem. We know you.
For the crowd.
You actually recommended it to me, if you remember. I actually hadn't seen it. I was after you, and that was already in the 11th hour.
Yeah,
I was already refusing to watch it. No, I won't be watching that. If everyone's watching it, I shan't be watching it.
But yeah, there's a lot I like about that, and I think probably talk about that a little bit. Well, maybe in the not too distant future.
All right. And another excellent list, and not a lot of crossover between yourself and Sean, which is good. And actually, there's a little bit of both in mine. But I'll start off with my top 5. Start from number 5, comedy, which is unusual for me, but I'll put a comedy in the top 5 list. Curb Your Enthusiasm, season 11. Larry David being Larry David. It started off a little shaky. I thought the first episode was a little off. I don't know why, but it was made during lockdown. So I don't know whether there was a lot of, whether it was difficult bringing it all together. But as the season progressed, it's just up there. It's just Curb Your Enthusiasm for me is on a completely different level to a lot of TV comedy. It's like sacred for me. When there's a new episode that's out, I will literally save it until I am fully awake and engaged and able to watch it and enjoy it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's not like, to your point, what we do in the shadows, which is the perfect 20-minute, stick it on, chuckle away, and then forget about it. Not to say that it's not as good or comparable in any way. It's just, for me, Curb Your Enthusiasm is just such good quality and so funny. So number 5, definitely Curb Your Enthusiasm. I will say this, from an HBO perspective, that I think this year they put out some of their most expansive type of projects, things that they were I'm not just talking about the Max series, but I'm talking about the HBO themselves, the typical studio. And obviously the likes of Succession season 3, which I still haven't got around to watching yet. I'm sure it'll probably make my top 5. But like Sean, I absolutely fell in love with this weird, wonderful show that I need to give a shout out to my nephew, Jasper, who actually told me to watch it, and I watched it, and I hated it, and he told me to persevere, and I fell in love with it, and that is, of course, White Lotus, which Sean said pretty much everything about. And, in a kind of, blow smoke up my own ass kind of moment, I did go to Hawaii and stay in the fucking White Lotus Hotel in Maui and walk around while watching that show. Again, it was awesome. So I really love that film, love that show, and I'm really looking forward to see what Mike White makes with the next season, which apparently is going to be based somewhere in Europe, from the sound of things. So with a whole new different cast. So looking forward to that. Number 3, thanks to Phil, Squid Game. I thought it was perfect. I think from start to finish. And a foreign language show as well, culturally different. My girlfriend and I spent most of the time trying to figure out the conversion rate from Korean won into US dollars, trying to figure out how much the prize money was as it totaled up. We were like, what is that? Like $50? I don't know. Like, it's like 23 million won, £68.99. But it was just brilliant. It was an amazing show. The characters are awesome. And, also cinematography, director of photography, whatever you want to call it, was beautiful. It's framed really nicely, really suspenseful, and perfect TV. I don't know what they're going to do with the season 2. I feel like leave it at season 1, but we'll see what happens with season 2. We're getting into MCU territory now, as you would probably expect. For me, number 2, WandaVision. Hated it. First episode. Hated the second episode. There's something going on here in the third episode. And by the end of it, just completely different TV than we're used to. Smart, intelligent, retrospective, obviously made by people that are in love with the format of TV sitcoms, classic TV sitcoms that we all grew up on, like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and so on. But obviously the way that it continues the MCU story as well was just phenomenal. Big screen, blockbuster movie making on the small screen. And then my far and away number 1 greatest show of the year, which I've seen twice and probably will see it for a third time, Disney Plus's Loki, which it just blew me away. I don't know why. It talked to me in ways that the other shows didn't, and I thought that it was a piece of visual art and had some great cameos as well. Looking at you, Richard E. Grant, who was in that as well. So yeah, my number one was Loki, but I think we all did a good list there, gents, and
good list.
I think now I have hours and hours and hours of more shows that I need to now go and watch, the ones that I haven't seen that you've seen. So thanks again for that. Okay, in light of the top shows of the year, what would you say, Sean, get you started off, what would you say was your streaming app or channel of the year for television content specifically?
I think I'm probably, in terms of how they're presented here in the UK, I think I'm pretty much spread across all of them here. I mean, I think if I had to land on one, I'd probably say Disney Plus, not necessarily because it's got the best content, but it just looks so fucking cool when you open it.
First impressions and all that.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll stick with that. I'll go with Disney Plus.
And Phil, I know that you're predominantly more of a Netflix, Amazon, Sky TV customer.
Yep.
So what would you say of those choices?
I think Sky puts out like a really good mix of things, but I did find I was always going back to Netflix more than anything else. I watched a fair share of stuff on Prime as well, because they had some really decent stuff. But I think I just like what I don't know. A lot of people may not. I don't know. I think the future is streaming, isn't it? 100%. Like we've seen that in the last 10 years. It's just it's massive, isn't it? So I think for them to throw so much money into stuff, it's always a good thing. And they've been hit and miss with films and series. I've watched some absolutely shocking things that aren't even worth mentioning, and sort of given up on them, that are Netflix originals, but then also watched some brilliant stuff that are Netflix originals. So yeah, I'd probably say not that it's better than the others, but it's the one I've sort of stuck with the most, I guess, or found the most use of.
Netflix, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting you say that.
I think for Amazon Prime.
No, go ahead. I think there's a slight delay on your side, Sean. Go ahead.
I think there is. Yeah, sorry. No, I was just going to say. I think one thing I will say for Prime. I think certainly the last 18 months to 2 years, I think Prime has upped its game considerably. I don't know about you guys, but it was starting to feel very thin. But they seem to have invested.
I'll tell you what Amazon Prime do better than Netflix. If anyone watches any content in VR, their VR theater app is brilliant. Amazon Prime's VR app. It's really good compared to Netflix. Is pretty poor, to be honest. They haven't updated it in years, and it's just not as good. But Amazon Prime have done something really cool with their VR one, where you can choose different environments to watch your content in, and it really does feel like you're sitting in a cinema in VR. I've actually watched a fair few sort of films and series in VR this year, and it's been a really cool, different way to watch it when you've been stuck at home and not being able to go out to cinemas and things. So that's really cool. So that's one thing they have done.
That's an interesting point in terms of the actual UI that they're using and how they've adapted it across the different mediums. I think sticking to the point on TV, though, I would say that Amazon Prime is probably my least watched platform of the year in terms of TV content. I can't really. I was trying to think. I've actually just had to Google the shows that they released this year, and Wheel of Time and stuff like that. I haven't got around to it, and if none of it's really attracted me in any way. That's just me, and maybe I need to dip into it more. I'm not a huge fan of the UI on the TV app either, to be honest. I find it a little clunky and hard to find stuff, and they just promote whatever they want to promote. But then, you kind of have to dig a little bit deeper. For me, I'd kind of side with Sean. I'd say Disney Plus. I think that they, as you rightly said, Sean, they haven't put out by any stretch the best content, but they did put out 5 MCU shows this year in one fucking year. When you consider that last year they put out, a Star Wars show, and this year they've put out 5 Marvel shows, and they're about to put out, the Book of Boba Fett, which comes out on December, comes out today.
Today, isn't it, or tomorrow? Yeah.
Yeah. So, or tomorrow, yeah. So, they've put together a lot of incredible talent into one year. Mixed results, I think. We talked about Loki, and WandaVision, which I think were excellent. The middling Hawkeye, which was a good story, good performances, but didn't really captivate me. Marvel's What If, which I thought was really fun animation about what would happen if some of these characters were a different version of themselves. And then to the mundane with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, albeit with an incredible, huge blockbuster budget. So, I think Disney Plus, I don't think it's the best platform. I don't think they put out the best content, but I think they've done the most this year, I think, to garner that from a TV perspective. So that's who I would say. Sean, in terms of TV, have you got any kind of standout performers of the year? Actor, whether it's an actor, a director, writer, or cinematographer, anybody, whatsoever. Who would you say is your kind of standout of the year?
I think probably in acting, I'll stick with the acting probably. I think I'll go back to Midnight Mass. Samantha Sloyan. She played a character called Bev Keane in there. Sort of the very definition of self-righteous. She played a great, all too believable loon. That was a real standout performance for me. I think I'd have to go special mention as well, and in keeping with MovieMouth, I'm sure I'm going to get his name wrong. The lead in Squid Game, Lee Jung Jae. I'm guessing. Apologies if that's wrong. But
Awesome.
I thought his performance was particularly good, serving as sort of the audience's eyes into that insane world. I thought that he was great,
and actually a flawed character as well. Someone that you, from more of perhaps an anti-hero, someone that you wouldn't necessarily root for initially, based on some of the things that he did in the first episode.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good call, Phil.
Well, sticking with Squid Game, I must say I really think that again, pronunciation, I'm really sorry everyone, but Hwang Dong-hyuk, who wrote and directed Squid Game, I thought he did an amazing job. As you said earlier when we were talking about in the top 5 list and we mentioned Squid Game, I think it looked brilliant. I love the cinema photography of it. It just looks great. It sounds great. He did just the framing of it, those really cool sort of angles and the really wide shots, and just I just love the look of this show. Plus, him having written it as well, and I think he did such a good job with it. He made it witty, but also made it like punishing in equal measure. It's it's for fun. You can laugh at the show, but you can also be really upset by it as well. So it puts you through the ringer quite a bit, I think, as a show, and I think that makes it really good. So I think you did a great job with
interesting as well that you mentioned the cinematography of that show and look and feel, is that Lee Hyung-dyuk, who acted as cinematographer, had no other credits.
No.
So
I think he did some, nothing that I've certainly, to come out of nowhere with that, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And obviously Hwang Dong-hyuk came off of a few movies, but as far as I can see, they're fairly low rated in terms of the audience scores and reviews. So, I think just a mixture of great talent and a great idea and perfect execution that just became the zeitgeist of the year, became the Tiger King of, dare we say it, of 2021.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great shout out. For me, I've got to stick to where I'm at. For me, standout performer of the year was the director Kate Herron, British director of Loki. She previously directed a few episodes of Sex Education and Daybreak for Netflix, and was she was actually brought into the MCU. She actually almost kind of paved her way into the MCU because she met with obviously MCU mastermind Kevin Feige, who is, of course, executive producer and the creative mind behind the general story arcs and the phases of each of the MCU movies and shows. But she was a huge Loki fan from the movies predominantly, and she actually petitioned actively with Kevin Feige, and she actually traveled to New York and forced a meeting with him, and had a book of ideas that she put together to basically land this piece. She had a meeting with Tom Hiddleston and walked around Central Park with him before she'd even landed the show. She was really active in petitioning to get this show, and I think what she executed was just brilliant. Visual style, performances, the comedic aspect of the character, the aspect of the character coming from being basically a villain to being now more of an anti-hero, more of a hero, and a really touching finale, I thought. And obviously the outcome of that show being it set up the rest really of the next phase of the whole MCU, including the movies. So she had a huge amount of pressure on her for this character and for this show. And I think delivering what she did with that look and that style, that weird kind of 1970s retro, HMRC offices, dull, clocks on the wall type look and feel. I think she absolutely nailed it, and on the biggest scale. So props to Kate Herron. I thought she did a fantastic job. All right, let's switch it up from TV. Let's go over to the movies. Let's go check out the Movieplex. But before we go into our favorite movies of the year, what about your favorite movie-related experiences of the year? Something that you did in relation to film in general, or to your love of film. Sean, I'm sure yours will revolve around being on 3 of the MovieMouth spoiler specials this year, so we can probably skip you. No, I'm kidding.
Obviously, yeah. No, I think mine is really going to be, you touched on it earlier. It's just a couple of weeks ago, actually, I managed to get to a live Q&A with Edgar Wright, connected with Last Night in Soho. I'm not always his biggest fan. I mean, I think this one for me is his best since, for me, Hot Fuzz. But yeah, he was amiable, charming, and more to the point, quite happy to carry on even when the host of the event was trying to wind it up. He just kept pushing the event longer and longer and longer, which I thought, fair play to the guy. So yeah, nice guy, good event, good film. Yeah, that's me.
Phil?
Awesome. I think I'm going to ultra geek it out, and I think we mentioned this on the last episode, but this is film related, but I think my most fun film related experience that I'm going to have this year, or into the new year, because it should arrive any day, is building my replica pulse rifle from Aliens in model kit form. I'm pretty excited about starting that as a project. I'm going to lock myself away in my little workshop shed and create some futuristic weaponry.
I think my favorite film moment of next year is going to be when you get arrested for carrying said pulse rifle into your local Sainsbury's.
Strapped to my back.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
They're in the walls, god damn
it. Yeah.
Crawling around in the attic.
So yeah, a bit of a tenuous link, but I'm going to really enjoy that, and that is definitely film related.
I think we're all going to enjoy that. I'm looking forward to seeing you build it personally, and build one for me, of course, which I'm sure you're also.
We'll see how this one goes first.
Awesome, guys. How do I beat that? Well, flying a fucking helicopter through Hawaii while listening to the Jurassic Park theme by John Williams, and it was the actual fucking place where the movie was filmed, and the waterfall, and landing it and walking around, and it was pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I knew we weren't going to top this one.
I shed a few tears, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I know we've talked about it on previous pods, but it's my dream come true. Something I've always wanted to do, and in all seriousness, was a really incredible moment, and one that I will hopefully never forget. Going to Kuloa Ranch as well on Oahu, which was also absolutely amazing, and seeing where a load of the Jurassic Park movies, Lost and Magnum PI we talked about was also filmed there. The remake and stuff like that was just amazing. And counting the days really to go back to Hawaii, because that is just a gorgeous place in general. But there was that, there was dressing up as a Ghostbuster. There was meeting Andy Serkis at the Venom screening. Staying in the Plaza Hotel for Christmas from Home Alone 2.
Miles, can you go fuck yourself? Is that all right? I'm sitting in my shed making a replica pulse rifle from Aliens, and you're staying at the fucking Plaza Hotel and meeting Andy Serkis. Yeah.
The thing is, I know that building that pulse rifle gives you just as much joy as it does, as it would do for doing any of those other things. You know what I mean?
It's true.
But yeah, what a year. All right, well, let's wipe the tears away. What was the most fun that you had in the cinema this year watching a movie? Phil, start off with you this time. Let's flip it. Let's switch it up.
Could be taken in the wrong context, this question, couldn't it? Most fun I've had in the cinema.
Well, it depends what kind of fun you had and in what kind of cinema you're in. Pee Wee Herman over there.
I think, well, considering that I didn't get to the cinema as much this year, well, I say as much, I went twice this year to the actual cinema. I think it might have been a bit more, but yeah. But the one I had to 100% go to see, and that I was really looking forward to, was Ghostbusters Afterlife. I could not wait to go to that. And even though the screening I went to was it was actually really quite quiet. We went in the evening, sort of the week after release, but it was actually really quiet there. But you could still tell, like from the people that were there, the atmosphere, everyone was really excited to see it. And in fact, I saw like randomly a mate of mine, it was in the same screening. He walked past me trying to find his seats, and I was like, "Oh, Mike!" And he was like, "Oh, you're so excited!" I was like, "Yeah, me too." Like we, just sharing that sort of like so excited to see this. So yeah, just watching that in the big screen was really good fun. So yeah, that's probably mine.
What was the other film you saw this year?
I went to see. So I had a really nice night. I went to see No Time to Die with my dad. So we went to watch that together, which was really nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really good. That was the first time I've been to the cinema for ages because of lockdown stuff here and everything. So yeah, that was a really fun time as well. So that was good.
I'll tell you what, mate, and Sean probably agree with me on this, but you may have only been to the theatre twice this year. I've been a lot. I'm sure Sean's been a lot. I'd give it all to go and see Bond with my dad.
Yeah.
So you're very lucky with that.
Yeah,
one lucky boy there. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
And I don't take it for granted for sure.
They are special.
Yeah,
definitely. Nice one, mate. Nice. Sean.
Yeah, it's interesting you saying that. When I saw Afterlife, actually, I was the only person in the cinema, bizarrely. It's kind of really weird, some really weird things going on at these private screenings.
You and Egon.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. I think after the Edgar Wright name drop, I think I'll go for another one as well. So most fun at our cinema last month, about 6 weeks ago, we did. They're doing these Desert Island Flicks events, and we had Anthony Horowitz, or Horowitz, how you pronounce it, to talk about his favorite movies and showing clips from his favorite movies. It was a bit stressy because it was basically a full house, and I was on projection, so there was that element of I get this wrong.
Yeah.
But one of the clips
did you splice anything into the film reel, a la Tyler Durden?
Tyler Durden did, yeah.
No, it's just that actually one of the ones he selected was the Pink Panther Strikes Again, specifically the scene in the country house. I don't know if you remember it, where he's sort of questioning all the house staff, which has always been one of my absolute favourite moments of comedy. And the chance just to have that on again in it, and it was making 200 plus people laugh, and being with 200 people laughing at one of the scenes that I've always loved was just a great moment for me. And I didn't fuck it up, which helped.
Even better.
Sage advice: don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
That's brilliant. I think mine is slightly less exciting, but I would say I've got two. Afterlife, Ghostbusters Afterlife, I think was phenomenal. I think more so for the fact that I was dressed up for that one and traveled to the cinema dressed as a full on, almost screen accurate Ghostbuster. But just meeting the people after the movie, you know, it was opening night. It was actually a preview, so it was before it even came out. So the people that were there were us, you know, massive film nerds, and being there, that was brilliant. Took some pictures and put them on our Instagram of that. I would say that going to the first Spider-Man No Way Home screening, and Sean, I don't know, have you seen No Way Home?
Yep.
You've seen it. Okay. So I will say that when certain things happened in that movie, the opening night, it was actually the opening day crowd with the loudest that I have ever heard in a movie theater ever, and not in an annoying way, but in a holy fucking shit kind of way. Was absolutely awesome and so much fun. I did go back and watch it again a few nights later, and there was still a buzz, but it wasn't as excitable. And also, I could actually hear what people were saying now because of the people that were screaming in the cinema. But it was so much fun, and my girlfriend was with me as well, and she admittedly is somewhat of a Marvel fan, hasn't seen much after Endgame, but just absolutely loved it, and contributed to that film, I think, being in my top list of the year. So that was a lot of fun.
At least she's seen Endgame.
She has seen Endgame. Yeah, she's actually the new co-host of the MovieMouth podcast in 2022.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Okay. So now we've set the scene in terms of the type of movies that we enjoyed at the cinema this year. Let's talk about our top 10. We're going to have to shoot through this quickly because I know in terms of timing, we're going to end up with the longest podcast of 2021. But Phil, do you want to get us started off with your top 10 from 10?
I will. I'll rattle these off. So,
okay,
in at 10, for films I enjoyed, not necessarily that are good, is Army of the Dead. It was very flawed in places, but I visually liked it. There were some really cool moments in it. So yeah, that makes the list for me. June in at number 9. Again, visually absolutely stunning.
Mm-hmm.
And with a lot of people, I think, agree, it sort of dragged a little bit and sort of, you know, the end. Well, I won't spoil anything, but people know that it's a 2 or 3 part thing that's happening. So it was a bit of a build up to not much at the end. But understandably why. But it did look great, and it was, well, you know, good performances and stuff in it. So that's number 9. Number 8 was The Sound of Metal. The
oh yes,
yeah, that was a really good film, really really good. Could see why it won all the awards it did, especially for the sound design. Really hard hitting, great film, well worth the watch. Number 7 was The Dig. Did you see that?
I still haven't seen it. Ralph Fiennes,
yeah,
and Carey Mulligan. Was it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, really good little drama. I really enjoyed it. Based on a true story and well worth a watch.
About finding Saxon treasure in Suffolk.
It's like a boat, like a galleon that they find. Yeah, like a long boat, I think. But that was really good. That was a Netflix film, and I thought it was just a great little piece of drama. Really good. And then for pure scale of things, in at number 6, I've got Godzilla versus Kong. Absolutely love this.
I knew you would.
It was amazing. I was absolutely. This is my kind of film. It was just big scale monsters smashing the shit out of each other. It was brilliant, and it looked amazing from a technical standpoint. And then, in a similar vein, one that got quite a bad rap at number 5, I put The Tomorrow War, the Amazon original, Chris Pratt. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was great. It really, again, it was like nothing groundbreaking, but I just loved the idea around it. I thought the special effects were really good. I just loved the story. It had, you know, a good bit of comedy, some really good action in it, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So that was, but it didn't get that good a reception, I don't think. But enjoyed that. Number 4. What did I put at number 4? So I put Nobody, the comedy action thriller with Bob Odenkirk. I absolutely love this film. Such a good performance. I love him as an actor. I think he is absolutely brilliant at anything he does. And it was just a great film with an awesome sort of cameo role from Christopher Lloyd. Great fun sort of take on the whole John Wick type thing. Really good, and really good to see him in such a different role for him. Like, who'd have thought he could have pulled off put a role like that, but he 100% does. Brilliant. Number 3, I put The Suicide Squad. Again, a film that I hated the first one. It was absolute drivel and crap. This one, brilliant. Really funny. Kept me entertained. Great action sequences. Lovely looking film. Brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Number 2 was No Time to Die. I thought it was a really good return and farewell for Daniel Craig as Bond.
Yeah.
Great to see it in the cinema, as we talked about before. Some really good scenes in there, and probably the most emotional Bond film I've seen, sort of out of all of them, I would say as well. Yeah. So yeah, really good to see that. That was great and worth the wait. That, you know, after the pushback and the pushback and the pushback.
Where's your drum roll?
Oh, hold on. Number 1.
And your number 1 favorite movie of 2021 is.
It is, believe it or not, Ghostbusters.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
It was predictable as hell, but I couldn't wait for this. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to talk about this a bit later, but yeah, love this film. It was worth the wait. And we've talked about it in our spoiler special and everything, and why I liked it so much. So yes, Ghostbusters Afterlife at number 1 for me.
A really nice list. I think that's a really nice, honest list, and I think that Sean and I will probably follow suit. The only thing I would say, I was surprised you didn't include Boss Level in there, because I know you're a big Frank Grillo fan.
It was close. It was really close, and that was probably going to replace maybe like The Dig or something.
Yeah,
but Boss Level was brilliant. It was really good.
Kind of forgotten it since. Kind of moved on from it. Kind of thought,
yeah. It was. Yeah, it wasn't quite as. I don't know. If anything, it could have swapped out maybe with Army of the Dead. They were sort of on
interchangeable
level with each other. Yeah.
I knew I had this worrying feeling that Godzilla versus Kong was going to be your number 1. I'm not going to lie.
It probably should have been higher up the list, to be honest. But yeah, loved it.
He loved it. He absolutely loved it. All right, top 10, Sean. Starting with number 10.
Feel like this. Boss Level.
Woo! Nice.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a great film, and it's a great take on the whole groundhog thing, and fresh, funny, sharp, good bit of grumpy Mel. Following on from Fat Man as well last year, which I really enjoyed. He's doing some great work in these days, Mel. Good movie. The other one I quite like, that groundhog, Palm Springs as well. Was it called? I quite enjoyed that. It was another take on the
Palm Springs,
Technically, that came out in 2021 in the UK. It was out in 2020 in the US, but as I said before, completely able to mention it in your list if it came out in the UK this year.
Yeah.
Brilliant film.
Yeah. And at number 9, Being the Ricardos, the new Aaron Sorkin one with Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem, the I Love Lucy story. I mean, basically, as a writer, it's Aaron Sorkin. How can I not put it? Anything that Aaron Sorkin came out with this year would probably end up on my list, but it is very, very good. Something I know nothing about. I Love Lucy, believe it or not, is even before my time. No, solid, good look at a time which I know. And
that's available on Amazon Prime, isn't it?
Amazon Prime, yeah. Good stuff. Definitely worth a watch. Number 8, I've got The Guilty, Jake Gyllenhaal. There's the police dispatcher takes call. It was a remake, I think, of a Danish film, I believe, and I think it took a fair bit of flack for, in the sense of, why watch that? Watch the Danish one. But I enjoyed that. I thought it was a good solid, tight little plot. I like Gyllenhaal. Number 7, I've got Last Night in Soho, again, which I said for me, I think for me was Wright's best work since Hot Fuzz. Enjoyed it. Didn't love it, but again, enjoyed it. If we're on the enjoyment list rather than, but I thought that was solid and a great final performance from Diana Rigg there as well.
Yeah.
In at 6, I've got Spider-Man: No Way Home. As you said earlier, absolutely terrific achievement. The Spider-Man films are my favourite within the MCU, well, sort of in the MCU world, aren't they? I know, but the previous two and this one,
Yeah.
I think, if I had to name any of the, if I had to choose one aspect from the MCU, it would be the Spidey films. And this one, just they knocked it out of the park. At 5, I've got The Mitchells vs. the Machines, which I thought was a superb animation. And I thought that was a celebration of film as much as it was a family entertainment, and a bit overlong, but really, really good stuff. At 4, I've got No Time to Die, which I think we kind of did to death in our discussions previously. But yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, right.
As you said, brilliant final chapter for Mr. Craig. At 3, I've gone with Ghostbusters Afterlife. Again, we've covered it. Great movie, a lot of fun, tear to the eye, etc. At 2, Another Round, which I thought was absolutely terrific. Mads Mikkelsen on terrific form. And it just, it just spoke to me, that film. I thought I loved everything about it. And in
I
terms
hear
of
really good things about that film. I've added that to my list this week.
Yeah.
In
terms of an upbeat ending to, put it this way, that's the film I kept going back into the cinema to see the ending of when we showed it. Brilliant final sequence. And which leads me to first place, because there's got to be one. I'm not sure it was the best, but as a sci-fi fan, I've got to go with Dune. I thought it was glorious. And hopefully it'll be even gloriouser when the second one comes out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is what is it going to build from that point? And I saw you wincing when Phil had it so low down in his list. I saw the murderous gaze in those beautiful blue eyes of yours, Sean. But I think, again, another excellent list. I'll kind of cover off. I mean, you guys have talked through most of my picks, but I'll start from number 10. I think one of the biggest surprises of the year is that the sequel, as Phil said, to Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad, was absolutely awesome and just completely blew away the usual concepts of a kind of superhero movie or anti-superhero movie in this case, especially with that opening, which I just thought was so bizarre and wonderful. And a film that I want to watch again. It's a movie that I genuinely want to watch again, and I'm excited to watch it again. Moving slightly further afield, I really enjoyed Minari, which was a kind of I don't know if it was popular in the UK. It was about a Korean family who start a farm in 1980s Arkansas, which sounds really dry and boring, but was just a brilliant, emotional, wonderful movie. And the two child performers in that in particular were just so heartbreakingly amazing. I don't know how they find these kids that can just act, but in this movie it was just phenomenal. I watched that on a long plane ride, and I really, really enjoyed that film. Stephen Yeun, who's in that film, the lead in that film as well, has got a lot coming out this year as well. So keep an eye on him. Number 8, sorry, Sean, Dune. Probably my most anticipated film of the year. So could it have held up to what the amount of I would say excitement that I had for it? I just found it a little cold. I loved it. I'm still complaining about it, even though it's in my top 10. It was a piece of art by one of my favorite directors with Denis Villeneuve, one of my favorite cinematographers with Greg Fraser, and some of my favorite actors. Looking forward to the next installment, as you said. Number 7, I talked a little bit about this last week. Didn't get a chance to review it, but that was a little film called Come On, Come On, starring Joaquin Phoenix, which was a black and white indie movie, but not heavy. It really light, fun movie about an uncle reconnecting with his young nephew and taking care of him while his mother is dealing with a kind of intense family crisis. I just really liked it. Just a movie that has just really stuck with me, and I just kind of thought about it a lot since seeing it. And if you get a chance to go see it, I would recommend it. I would also say Joaquin Phoenix is probably in the running for an Oscar, but not for having a breakdown and breaking something and crying and shouting, but for actively just putting in a decent, calm performance, which I really enjoyed. Number 6, Sean's best friend, Edgar Wright, name drop. Last Night in Soho. Loved it. I thought it was brilliant. Particularly enjoyed watching a movie that's so in love with London and actively knows the geography of London and sticks to it. You know, even from a cab ride perspective, I'm like, yep, turn left. Yeah, okay, right there. Yep, and that place should be there, and that bar's there, and blah blah blah. And watching it like that was just, I don't know, just one of those things. Seeing it in America and in a theater, really comforting. And as you say, Wright's best film without a doubt since Hot Fuzz, albeit not a comedy. Number 5, another indie. This was A21's The Green Knight, starring Dev Patel, which was just a stunning film, dark, cerebral, but beautiful to look at, and just an amazing journey of a movie. You know, it has a lot. It's open to a lot of interpretation. So a lot of people didn't love it. A lot of people absolutely loved it. I'm definitely in the I absolutely loved it camp. The Green Knight is available, I think, now at home release. So if you get the chance to watch that, I definitely recommend it. Number 4, Judas and the Black Messiah. It's a film we reviewed right at the beginning of the year, Phil. It came out on HBO Max. But it was about the formation of the Black Panthers, and just a terrific film with some great performances. I thought some of the performances up there with some of the greatest performers that we've ever seen, the Pacinos, the De Niros, and would definitely recommend you check out Judas and the Black Messiah if you get the chance. Number 3, this is where it gets a little difficult. 3-1. I'm sure you guys had the same issue, but I enjoyed all of these 3 films equally in the cinema. Number 3, okay, it's No Time to Die. James Bond. We talked about it. We did a spoiler special podcast, which you can listen to now. But as you'll know, we absolutely loved it. Number 2, oh, this is so tough, and I'm so sorry that I had to do this. Ghostbusters Afterlife is number 2. Even though I did absolutely love it, and I cried my eyes out at the end, and I saw it twice. I did love it. I do think it has, in hindsight, some issues in relation to the retreading of some of the similar plot lines from the first movie, but it's still the perfect sequel to those movies. My number 1 this is so strange for me to say, and I feel uncomfortable. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
I just loved it. I think the last 45 minutes of that film are like big sandbox kids playing with all of their action figures and going, well, this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and this happens, and this happens. And then you throw all the figures on the floor, and then you pick them up, and you throw them again. It was like that, but you were watching it, and it was just immense. Like, that's why you go to the movies, you know, is to have your mind blown. And that, for me, is something that I guess I relate to movies for, more so seeing them in the cinema because of being a kid and having that level of escapism. And I just thought Spider-Man No Way Home was awesome. And just go watch it if you haven't already seen it, listeners. It's absolutely worth, even if it's made $1 billion. You know, what's another billion? Go see it.
I can't wait to watch this. I've not seen it yet, and I really am looking forward to seeing it.
You got to see it.
It's one of the only like Marvel films that I'm actually really excited to see.
You got to see it. What I would say, watch Far From Home as well if you haven't seen that with Jake Gyllenhaal first.
Yeah, I've not seen that actually.
I know you've watched Homecoming. I think
Homecoming. Yeah,
you don't really need to see Endgame before it, but I mean,
might help.
Yeah,
definitely.
I would
Far
watch
From
Infinity
Home,
War.
I'd say,
Yeah, Infinity War, Far From Home, Infinity War, Endgame, Far From Home, in that order.
Cool.
So you got 3 films for you. Got to go and watch it, Phil.
Okay.
So that was our top 10s of the year. Thank you, gents, for putting that together. I know it was a fairly exhaustive list, but an awesome list nonetheless, and lots of stuff to check out there. That brings me on to the next question. Best film studio or film streaming app of the year. Think HBO Max, Warner's, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Disney Marvel, etc. Sean.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know I should probably be saying A24 or someone like that, but in all honesty, I have found it a bit of a mixed bag this year. So to name one, I think I'm going to, as much as the Disney juggernaut does sometimes scare me, I think it's hard to see past Disney at this point, just in terms of the scale of creativity that's coming out of them. Spidey, the Star Wars material that we've had and that's just coming around the corner. So with a measure of reluctance, I'm with Disney.
I mean, it's hard to write them off when they're putting out, they've got the money, but they're putting out incredible work. It's not cynicism by any stretch. It's not like Warner Brothers releasing the Snyder Cut. They're putting out hit after hit after hit after hit, including likes of Cruella that we haven't really talked about, which I thought was another great movie this year. We talked about Raya and the Last Dragon, an animated movie, Encanto, which just came out. They had a Pixar release this year as well. So much incredible content, and I think you're right in that regard. I would agree with you. Phil, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's relentless, isn't it? The release stuff that Disney's putting out, but I think again, I can completely appreciate what they do, but for me, I think I sort of skimmed on it earlier. I think I mostly use Netflix and then a bit of Prime as well, and I just think they're both, and I know Disney are as well, obviously, but I think it's just really good to see that they're both pumping serious money into new content in both film and TV and world cinema, especially with Netflix, because I really do enjoy a lot of world cinema stuff, and it's really good to see some, it's great to see something like Squid Game become so popular worldwide. Like, I think it's brilliant, and there's been hits and misses for both of those services, but I think for the money you pay for either of them, the return is well worth it. For me, probably Netflix. But I can appreciate them all really.
Yeah,
I don't really access like the HBO stuff and everything over here as much as like you do, because you get a lot of the US streaming services that you're with. But yeah. So Netflix for me.
I think it makes total sense. I think mentioning HBO, obviously there was a big tie-in with Warner Brothers this year, which is where Warner released something like 10 or 12 of their cinema releases, their cinematic releases, on the same day to American audiences at home on their new HBO Max streaming app. Which as much as I love watching new films at home, I just think from a filmmaker perspective, I think it kills the return on those movies, which means original ideas are going to suffer versus, the likes of Godzilla versus Kong, which was, until halfway through this year, the biggest performing movie at the box office internationally, but barely did anything in the US because people were watching it at home. But then you look at the likes of, Judas and the Black Messiah, and to this case, this last week, The Matrix 4, which hasn't done phenomenally at the box office because people are just sitting at home and watching it. So what does it mean for original filmmaking and for original ideas? I think it's a tough ask. That's not to say that the likes of Disney and other channels haven't done the same thing, but they've done it in a more measured way. I think Denis Villeneuve was undercut massively with Dune. The fact that they knew that they had to make a sequel to this film and they were releasing it at home and not just relying on a box office. And obviously we saw Chris Nolan, who has worked with pretty much all of his major film releases, apart from The Following and Memento, have all been with Warner Brothers. And he himself stood up against them, saying it was the worst app the worst, release schedule, and they were ruining filmmakers' vision. And now he's moved to Universal for his next film. So, interested to see what happens next year, to see whether they continue that trend, to continue trying to land grab subscribers.
Yeah.
But sorry, the question wasn't least favorite, but I think it's worth a conversation. When talking about it, and I definitely next year I definitely want to see more from the likes of the Peacocks, the Paramount Pluses, the Amazon Primes, But I think next year we're going to have an absolute Star Wargasm, you could say, with Book of Boba Fett starting, and then The Mandalorian, and God knows how many other spin-off shows. Kenobi's going to come at some point, I think later in the year.
There's 2 new Star Wars films next year, as well.
It's just unbelievable. So, no, all in agreement. But all you can say is that it's good for us nerds that love movies and TV.
Yeah, totally. Golden times.
All right, so
golden age.
Absolutely. So we've talked about favorite movies. We've talked about obviously the way in which these platforms are releasing these movies. But when it come down to the minutiae, the standout performers, the directors, the writers of the year, who would you call out?
Ooh, shall I go
Start
first?
With you, Phil. Yeah.
So we're talking. Are we talking about standout performer?
You can talk about whoever you like, whoever stood out for you in movies, whether it was a director, a producer, a writer, or actor.
I'm gonna go with McKenna Grace as Phoebe in Ghostbusters Afterlife, because I think she was just so well cast in that film and did such an amazing job. She carried it, really did, with like perfect mix of that sort of dry, nerdy humor, but also, drama and emotion as well. I think she did such a fantastic job in that role. I expect to see a lot more of her and a lot more things coming up. So, it'd be very exciting to see. But I think, she definitely deserves some recognition for a role in that. I thought she was brilliant.
I don't think you can argue with it. I think you had grown men with a weight of expectation, with 4 amazing Ghostbusters that couldn't be replaced, all going in, to a screening, and women, by the way, men and women that enjoy the Ghostbusters movies, going in to see this film, and there's a young female child as the lead of that movie to continue that lineage, of those classic films, and to carry that off in the way that she did was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, right. Definitely.
Yeah, agreed.
Sean, who would you say for you, standout performer, actor, director, producer?
I think, in a year where we had No Time to Die, a top draw Bond movie, I think we're all agreed on that. And I think Daniel Craig, arguably one of the best Bonds, arguably his best Bond performance, which is, that's some impressive shit in its own right. So I think, how great does a performance have to be to steal the movie from premium Bond in a premium Bond movie?
Exactly.
Ana de Armas. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Forget a Bond TV series. Give that woman her own spin-off TV series now, Amazon.
Yeah, get it sorted. Yeah, definitely. I think she did. Yeah, it was it.
I can't think of any individual performance that impressed me. No.
So I just ran away for the people that can see this on YouTube to grab my Paloma Funko Pop of Ana de Armas, which you can see. You can see right there, which was a gift to me by the wonderful Jason Kim, Bond fan, who joined us for our James Bond 007 No Time to Die spoiler special, which is available on all podcast players now. And he sent me this. I don't know why he sent it to me. I mean, I know why, but I'm not allowed to say. But because she's my future wife. But now I have this Funko Pop in my shrine, and I pray to it every day.
She was brilliant in it. She was. She did a great job.
When I say pray. Awesome. Awesome. I mean, you guys, you both picked out two amazing performers, so I'm going to have to switch it up. I'm going to have to go to behind the scenes. I'm going to go. This is tough because I don't think Marvel had the best year in terms of their overall content and quality. But I will say that the Marvel Studios head honcho, Kevin Feige, certainly had the busiest year. I think for me, he's my standout. He put together 5 Marvel shows on Disney Plus and 3 MCU movies, one of which was in cooperation with Sony Pictures, who we know have been struggling to have, let's say, cooperation with the MCU. So I think, and I think as well, to focus 5 shows which focus on some of the B team, C team level stars of the Avenger movies and so on, and to make them work and intertwine with the movies, plus also releasing 2 movies that star, Shang-Chi, who no one really, other than comic book fans really knew before this year. And another one with the Eternals, with people, again, a group of kind of quasi Superman type superheroes from outer space. Again, nailing that with bringing in Chloe Zhao as director, who probably is my number 2 spot for director for person of the year, having directed Nomadland, and of course then moving on to the Eternals, and then of course the 1-2 Sony Marvel punch of Spider-Man No Way Home at the end of the year, closing out that year, and again bringing it all together with the shows, with the movies, and with, well, let's not say too much. Let's just say other movies. Just incredible. And I think the guy has done, no one else could do that kind of job. We've seen someone like George Lucas drop the ball, in previous years, them hand Star Wars on to Kathy Kennedy, who for me has somewhat dropped the ball when it came to the film production element and who they brought in to direct and write and so on. Kevin Feige for me, standout of the year, MovieMouth legend of the year from my perspective. And please don't go to DC at any point in the future. Please stay with Marvel. We love you.
Yeah.
And bringing me on to that, what would you say was your biggest film disappointment of the year? The things that you were looking forward to the most that didn't quite pan out the way that you hoped that they would?
Ooh.
Sean, get you started off.
Been a few. Probably the one I'll get in trouble now, but Green Knight for me didn't work for me. I mean, I'm keeping it in my watch list, so it's handy for next time I can't sleep. And I'm sure Matrix Resurrections will stink if I ever bother to watch it, which I can't imagine I will. I think I'm going to land on Wrath of Man, if only because that's the one I suffered through most recently. And
what?
I just
Was that the Statham one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah.
So you come for me with the Green Knight, and then you land the second punch of the Stath and Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
Wow. As he swigs his R2-D2 cup. Right.
Brilliant.
That's the way it's going to be, is it? Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Should let me win the quiz.
Fair enough. I tried. I really did. Those questions. Oh, dear. Anything else, Sean? Anyone else you want to insult before we move on?
No, what else did you like?
It's your... Well, you could put Spider-Man at number 6, so... Yeah. Phil, come on. Biggest disappointments of the year?
I think, although, do you know what? Although it was in my top 10 movies of the year, I think I had higher hopes for Army of the Dead, although I still really enjoyed it.
Right.
For me, as a little mention, I had higher hopes for it. So, yeah, so that's definitely up there. But then a recent one for me was also Red Notice, which we talked about in depth on a couple of episodes ago. Just, a great looking cast for that, like massive budget, Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, or however you want me to say it, or Gal Gadot.
No, it's
and
not
Dwayne
how I
Johnson.
want you to say it. It's how she wants you to say it, which is
Now,
her fucking name.
You say that, but I've just been doing some Googling about this because I knew I was going to say this name, but there's no definitive answer on there. So,
all right,
you prove it to me, and then
why don't you write a letter to William Dafoe and he'll tell you how to pronounce
Gal
Gadot.
Dear William,
Rylan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
But yeah, great cast, lots of promise, absolute shite. Like one of the worst films I've seen for a long time. I think, we covered it nicely in the episode, so we don't need to go into it, but just don't bother people watching that absolute dribble.
I'd say a bit of a stinker of a year for Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson in general. And perhaps even Gal Gadot, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was the best year. I think Ryan Reynolds was in Free Guy as well, which was a comedy that I absolutely despised. I use comedy in very, very loose terms. He was also in The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. And obviously, and it's not to say that he's in any way bad at anything that he does. He's an incredible actor, comedian. It's just that the shtick is starting to wear for me a little bit thin, and I think that that they're kind of packaging up his Deadpool shtick into every movie that he could possibly be in now.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Yeah,
it's starting to grate a little bit, I would say. And likewise with Dwayne, who, I think that again, he's Hollywood's most paid actor. But again, there comes a little bit of cynicism now with the roles that he's in. I don't know if you saw Jungle Cruise with him and Emily Blunt. But there were moments in that. There were some fun moments in that, I will say, which I didn't mind. But for most of it, I wanted to remove my ears and my eyes and possibly all of my teeth, which in my case would be a godsend. But yeah, just
wow.
But for me, biggest disappointment.
Yeah,
I would say it goes somewhere between Godzilla versus Kong, which I thought was just the most bizarre film I've seen this year, without a doubt. Maybe in hindsight, I need to watch it again, and it'll be the most amazing film. I know you.
Yeah, I think by bizarre you mean brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. And then there was, and then I think Dune. I think just because as someone that wasn't really a fan of the book, I probably created something else in my mind that it was going to be, and and maybe again still in my top 10, but I just for whatever reason didn't warm to it in the way that I hoped that I was going to. It was definitely my most anticipated film of the year, and I think I came out of it very surprised that Spider-Man was my number one, that Bond was one of the best Bonds of all time, and that the Ghostbusters sequel actually worked. It's like all three of those things. Was pretty amazing. So we've looked back at 2021, looking ahead to 2022, where there's obviously a lot coming up. But what movies, TV, or other are you most looking forward to next year?
Well, shall I start?
Sure.
So, I mean, film-wise, there's quite a bit coming out next year to get excited about. As I said, there's like I think 2 Star Wars movies. I'm really looking to forward to watching Book of Boba Fett in the next few days when that starts. But then movie-wise, Top Gun Maverick we've got coming out, which looks phenomenal from just.
It's been coming out for about 3 years, isn't it?
I know, but it finally is. And then I think I'm maybe dubious to be excited about it, but Indiana Jones 5, who knows? It could be something good. Like I didn't hate on Crystal Skull as much as a lot of people. It wasn't amazing by any means, but I'm looking forward to seeing another Indiana Jones movie. And then you've got things like The Batman's coming out in April time, I think. That looks really good. The Northman, which we talked about in the last episode with Alexander Skarsgård. That looks right up my street. Really looking forward to that.
Robert
and
Eggers.
Also, animated wise, the Bob's Burgers movie is coming out, which I'm really looking forward to as well, because I love a bit of Bob's Burgers. So to see the film of it will be great as well.
That actually comes out the same day as Top Gun Maverick, Phil. So good luck with that.
What a day. What a day. Wow. So yeah, lots to look forward to next year, I think. Among other things, there's loads. So yeah.
You've literally read off a list of all of the movies next year. So the ones that are left, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard not to go cruise, isn't it? I mean, with Top Gun, and I think we've got Mission Impossible next year as well.
It's another Mission Impossible.
Yeah. I mean, to sort of back to indie again, just very briefly. I'm quite. Yeah, I didn't hate on Crystal Skull. Indie films for me are it's a downward slide generally, but I didn't hate on it that much. I'm probably more excited about seeing it because Mangold's at the helm than I would be if Spielberg was at the helm, if that kind of makes sense.
Right.
So I think the one that I really, really hoped as well, there's a new Salem's Lot coming, which I think has never really its potential has never been realised on Salem's Lot in the past. So I'm quite interested to see what they can do with that. In TV terms, I mean, I'm a Trekkie, so that Strange New Worlds back on the Enterprise with Anson Mount, I think, that's a return to old school Trek. I'm keen to see. As you say, there's a lot coming. I think you've pretty much covered it there, Phil. I think, to be fair, yeah.
No, I think it's interesting that you didn't focus in on some of the bigger releases, which I think it's going to be a difficult year next year for a lot of the movies that are outside of the Marvels. I think for me, considering I'm such a big fan, I've got zero interest in Jurassic World Dominion, which is obviously coming out. I'm not a big Colin Trevorrow fan who is directing that. You have got movies from the kind of, some of the more interesting ones, movies that a couple of years ago that I wasn't that looking forward to, but the likes of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I really enjoyed the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I don't know why, but Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is coming out. Okay. It was fantastic. I thought I really enjoyed it. Jim Carrey in that, best Jim Carrey's been in years. Best Jim Carrey performance.
Yeah.
As Dr. Robotnik, yeah. He was actually really, really good. I'm trying to talk about movies that, you guys haven't talked about, so I'll probably stick to the MCU. You've got Sam Raimi returning to Marvel. Obviously, he directed the first Tobey Maguire movies. He's returning to direct Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, Raimi with a movie that has madness in the title, like it's just going to
match made in
punishment.
Heaven.
It's a match made in heaven. The visuals of this are probably going to be incredible, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. Probably the Marvel movie I'm most looking forward to next year would be Thor: Love and Thunder, which, again, we talked a lot about previous Thor movies. I think the last Thor movie, in particular, Ragnarok, was just so much fun. So I'm really, really looking forward to Love and Thunder to see what they do with the character there. I think the Batman, Phil, you mentioned the Batman from the DC side, does look amazing. The new trailer with Batman and Catwoman, it appears to be more of a double hander, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
But very much looking forward to that. I mean, I will just say about Top Gun, we talked about it, but Joseph Kosinski, who directed that, is one of my favorite directors, actually. He directed Tron Legacy. He directed Oblivion, two movies that I absolutely loved. I think visually stunning, and the things that they're doing with a camera in this just look incredible. I think the fact that it's being put back so many times tells me that it's good. I know that usually might not, but I think they're putting it back for a reason. I think it's going to be phenomenal. And of course, the movie I'm looking forward to most is Morbius, the Living Vampire, with my favorite Jared Leto. No, I'm kidding. I would never look forward to a Jared Leto film. Ah. But there we go.
Lots to look forward to.
Lots to look forward to.
Yeah.
So, gents, obviously talking about 2022, I told you at the beginning about my own personal New Year's resolution, which is to be, well, let's face it, not nicer to my general co-host, but just nicer to Phil in general. Do you have a film, TV, movie, or personal New Year's resolution that you'd like to share with the MovieMouth podcast listeners? I'll start with you, Sean.
To get you guys to let me back on here more often, obviously.
We'll
really,
see what the ratings are like on this.
In all
this
seriousness,
Yeah.
I mean, in all seriousness, actually, I actually do need to catch up on the MCU TV shows. The last one I did was WandaVision, so I really need to crack on with Winter Soldier and Loki. Yeah, you've said it to me enough times. Really, that's what I need to get that done before the end of January. Get up to speed, I think. Yeah, that'll do.
Good luck with that. That's a lot of content. That's a lot of hours.
How do you think I feel?
Phil's got about 10 films and 5 shows to watch.
That's
before
10
he's allowed
films.
to watch Spider-Man.
10 films. About 10 came out this bloody year. I mean, I'm going to say it. My resolution for this year is to watch Avengers Endgame. I'm going to catch up.
And our
you know
listeners
what?
know that you've been saying that since the very first MovieMouth podcast.
Yeah.
I know. I know. Yeah. And do you know what? The amazing thing is that film for me is not spoilt yet. I still
It's
don't know
unbelievable. It's
what happens.
unbelievable.
I've got a sort of idea, but I still don't know what happens in that film, which I think is quite
can't
amazing.
believe that
I know
that hasn't been spoiled for you. But
I
I will
know.
say that 1,000 listeners just jumped up and screamed, if we had 1,000 listeners. But that is that you need to watch Infinity War first. Don't just go straight into Endgame, all right? So
Yeah,
please watch
that's
Infinity
true.
War first, then watch Endgame, and then I'll relax.
What was the one before Infinity War?
Age of Ultron.
Oh yeah, that was the last one I saw. Okay.
Wait, so the last MCU movie you saw was Avengers: Age of Ultron, or you've seen
Oh no, I've
Black
seen
Panther,
others since.
or have you seen?
I haven't seen Black Panther. I've seen some of the Captain America ones.
Did you see Captain America: Civil War?
Yeah, I saw Civil War.
Mm-hmm. Good, we're getting somewhere now. Okay. Did you see Thor Ragnarok?
No.
Taika Waititi. You need to.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Well, I
That's
think
a
you should
cracking
watch that anyway because you're going to really
I watched
like
the
it. It's
Tom
really fun.
Holland, the first Tom Holland Spider-Man recently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man.
Wow. Yeah, I'm
Our
behind.
listeners are literally just sitting there right now listening to us talk about which MCU movies
Which
you have
films
seen
I've
and
seen.
haven't seen.
Yeah, I think we should move on. From this.
Broadcasting
But yeah,
gold.
that's my New Year's resolution. Yeah, right. Watch Endgame. I've written it on a piece of paper in front of me. Watch Endgame. Okay. Done.
Oh, thank goodness. Can you burn that note like they did in No Time to Die? Just burn
Yeah,
it,
right.
and then we know it's your resolution.
Right,
Before
yeah,
driving
it's
over
my
the DB5 and
Yeah. Regarde.
Je regarde on the game.
On the game.
All right. With that in mind, Sean, a big thank you from Phil and I for joining us yet again.
Indeed.
And not only for today, but also for joining us for our other 3 spoiler specials earlier this year. It's been brilliant having you on. And we're looking forward to having you on again at some point in the new year so you can name drop all the other famous actors and directors that you've met up with. And
Yes.
Best of luck
Yes,
to you
darling.
for
Let
your
me see who I can meet.
screenwriting.
Let me see who I can meet in the next
Schmoozing.
weeks.
Schmoozing, darling.
That's
schmoozing.
great, guys. Really enjoyed
But
it.
best of
Always
luck
a
to
pleasure.
you with your degree in screenwriting, and do keep us updated.
Yes.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Sean.
So join us on the next Movie Mouth podcast, slice of movie and TV related podcast fun in 2022. But before then, please follow our Facebook and Instagram accounts at Movie Mouth Podcast and hit subscribe, or give us a nice 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. Go on, start the year doing a good deed. You can also visit our brand new website, www.moviemouthpodcast.com, where we've got the latest podcasts available to stream, download from all the different podcast player apps, and also some fun merchandise that you can now buy in order to support your favorite movie podcast. Phil.
Yes.
There's just one last thing to say, isn't there?
Yeah.
Do you want to say it?
Yeah. No. Don't want to.
Sean, do you want to say it?
No, I can't.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I'll say it. Happy New Year, everybody!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.